Hello, Dr. Brant Hulsebus here, and welcome to another edition of Ask the Chiropractor. Ask the Chiropractor is my little podcast that I do. When someone has a question about chiropractic or chiropractic care, I try to answer. I'm a chiropractor here in Rockford, Illinois. I'm a proud graduate of Palmer College of Chiropractic, and I'm happy to be the team chiropractor of the Rockford Ice Hogs. Let's dive into it. Hello, thank you for joining us. We're now on episode 10 of a 12-episode series. I'm taking this time to break down how chiropractic works and some of the most common things that people come see us for. And today we're going to talk about episode 10 about healthy aging. My grandfather was a chiropractor. He started practice either in 1948 or 1949. The records are a little questionable back then because of various laws and regulations. I personally think he started in 48. My father personally thinks he started in 49. Yes, doesn't matter. But I had patients because I'm in the same practice. You see, my grandfather practiced, and then my dad joined the practice, and they opened this bigger clinic here in Rockford. And now I'm here. And some of the people have been getting adjusted by my grandfather, my dad, and now me. We got one family. We've taken care of 8 generations of their family. But we got people that started my grandpa when they were young. I got one, he was a baby when he saw my grandpa, and now he's probably about 10 years older than me, so he's in his early 60s. He's been adjusted his entire life by one of us, by myself, my dad, or my grandfather. So I got these patients that have been patients in our office for a long time, and then being adjusted once a month. And now they're on Medicare. And Medicare kind of requests x-rays once a year. And when we x-ray them every year, it's neat to see because they don't have arthritis. They don't have degenerative disc disease, degenerative joint disease. Their spines are young, healthy, and strong looking. Now, I can't speak for their hips and their knees and their ankles. That's outside of my jurisdiction. But when we look at their spines, we have a whole healthy population here in Rockford, Illinois, of people who have been adjusted for decades, and they're not aging. Their spines aren't degenerating. So arthritis isn't a thing that you have to get because of your age. Arthritis is a thing that happens. So let's dive into that a little deeper. Let me explain to you a little bit about who gets arthritis, who doesn't, and why. First thing is I want to clarify the definition of arthritis. When I talk about arthritis, I'm going to talk about bones that are degenerating, discs that are dehydrating, disc gaps that are gone, spurs that are growing on the spine. That's the chiropractic definition. I find it interesting when I learned about the medical definition of what arthritis in the spine is. I'm friends with quite a few orthopedic surgeons because I take care of a hockey team, the Rockford Ice Hogs. And so do they. And we sit together during the games. Matter of fact, when they get hurt, we go in the locker room together and we help each other. We're a team. But I asked them, what's the definition of arthritis in the shoulder, arthritis in the hip or the knee? And they get exact millimeter measurements they do on the spurs, on the gaps. It's very precise. They get all kinds of, in the old days, I'm older, they get all kinds of rulers out and compasses, and they draw down things, and they measure down the millimeter. Today, the computers do it. And they get very, very precise. It has to have this much of a change or this much of a difference, this side versus that side. It's amazingly precise. It's very, very calculated. But the definition of arthritis in the spine is the minimum. Hey, I woke up this morning, my back was sore, stiff and sore. When I played hockey, I'd wake up in the morning, my back would be stiff and sore. Does that mean I have arthritis on my spine? I have arthritis on my spine according to the medical definition, but the chiropractic definition would say absolutely not. I woke up with a stiff, sore back when I was in my 20s after doing physical labor. So according to that definition, I have arthritis. So let's not talk about their definition. Let's talk about the chiropractic definition. And chiropractic, in my office, we have different phases. Phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4. Phase 1, you could bounce back from. Phase 2, you can get pretty good. Phase 3 is manageable. Phase 4 is you should have came to see us a long time ago. So let's talk about how somebody gets arthritis. Because it's not age. Because I see people's spines and they get arthritis in their lower lumbars, but not their middle thoracics. I mean, they're all the same age. They've all been the same place. They've all gone everywhere together. So it can't be age. It has to be stress. So what happens is one or two vertebrae in your spine will misalign. When they misalign, we call that a subluxation. And the body recognizes the biomechanical features of the spine now has been altered because the spine's no longer the way it's designed to be. That increases your stress load if you're stressed, how you bend and twist, how you carry your weight. So the spine will lock up these areas with the musculature around to protect it from further damage and to cope with it the best it can with the stress that it's under. Now, when you walk and you move around, the muscles around your spine contract. And when they do that, they push nutrients into the joint spaces and pull the toxins out. A lot of the joints of the spine do not have a direct blood supply. Your knees get that through blood supply. Your ankles get that through blood supply. Your spine does not get that through blood supply. It gets it through movement and motion. But if you have a subluxation and one or two of these bones are misaligned, those muscles are locked down. They're not moving. And therefore, there's no nutrients in, toxins out. It just sits there. And over time, with it sitting like that, contracted all the time, the discs don't get what they need and they start to dehydrate. This is called degenerative disc disease. They're degenerating. They're losing their height. They're dehydrating. As they start to shrink, the gap between the vertebrae goes away. As this goes away, it becomes more and more unstable because now the shock absorber is gone. If you have an old pickup truck and your struts are worn out, when the struts are going good, you're driving on a bumpy road here in Rockford with all the potholes, it's not so bad. But as it starts to go, now the struts are bad. Now you're hitting those potholes. Now the whole thing's bouncing around. Before you know it, you need an alignment job. Your steering stuff's broken. You need new parts. But when the struts were good, you were good. So your disc or your struts, then you're losing your struts. So the body starts putting extra calcium around disc space. And we call that osteophytes, P-H-Y-T-E-S, osteophytes. This is the start of degenerative changes. These are bony changes. These are changes that are almost irreversible. And they grow wherever they want to grow around that spot. And they'll actually grow where the hole in the nerve comes out. And when they do that, that hits that nerve and it becomes a constant pressure. It's very hard to adjust that away. Now, the other part is the back behind the joint, behind the spinal cord, you have two more joints. They're called facets, F-A-C-E-T. They're taking more of a load now. They're getting rubbed and grinded on harder. Their gap went with the disc gap. So as the disc gap went away, everything collided. They start to rub. Now you've got degenerative joint disease because these are starting to rub. And you rub and they grow bony calluses or spurring. And now they start to spur and they get really hard to move. These spurs are also hyperinflammatory, meaning when your back has these things and you go out and push it, you're taking muscles that are locked up, already working super hard to stay locked up. And now you're asking them to do extra work because they're locked up. And you got the degenerative disc disease, the degenerative joint disease, those spurs hitting things, creating inflammation, just a bad recipe. So a lot of times people will come see me and they'll have all this going on their spine. They'll be in their 60s or 70s and they'll tell me, I've never had a back problem. I'm like, well, yeah, you have. It's quite obvious because you have all the spurs and degeneration. There's no doubt you've had back problems. You gotta be crazy to think you've never had a back problem. You don't have to lie to me, I can see it. And so as a chiropractor, when you come see us, before this happens, let's say the day you slipped and fell, the day you had stress in your life, chemical, physical, or emotional, those vertebrae locked up, now they're not moving. What do I do as a chiropractor? If you come to my office in Rockford, what we're going to do is we're going to take you, we're going to do a chiropractic exam. We're going to see how you bend and twist and move around the different vertebrae. We're going to feel those vertebrae, feel how they're moving, which ones are fixated, which ones are not. Then we'll do an x-ray exam on you to look at your actual bones, see how they line up. As I say, pop the hood and see what's underneath the hood and see what we can do to help those. And then what we'll do is we'll do an adjustment on those and we'll get them moving again. When we restore the movement, then what happens is the bones start moving again, the muscles start moving, and you don't lose all that dehydration. And so by people who started with my grandpa in the 1950s, the 1960s, and have come to see us once a month, once every 6 weeks, once every 2 to 3 weeks, they never keep those fixations very long. They never had that dehydration, so they never take step 2, which is when they start losing the disc height. Step 3, they start growing osteophytes. Step 4, they become hyperinflammatory. Step 5, it all starts to fuse together. We never have a step 2. We never have a step 3. So when you come to see us, ask the chiropractor, if you look at your x-rays, what phase of degeneration am I in? Where am I at? How much is this reversible? How much is this forever? How much is going to need constant maintenance? How much is going to be, I can get stronger, get better with doing different things that you prescribed to me. So again, when I started this podcast, I said there's two definitions of arthritis, the one chiropractors use and the one medical doctors use. So if you go to the medical doctor and you ask them about spinal arthritis, they can't answer you the way a chiropractor does because they don't even define the word the same way we define it. Get it? Like we talk about different phases. We define the spine the way they define the knees, hips, shoulders, ankles, yada, yada, yada. Their definition of arthritis in the spine is very generic and very unscientific and unspecific, unlike every other joint. I don't know why this is. I'm not a medical doctor. Don't ask me. Ask me about chiropractic. But in chiropractic, we break it down, we give you the scale, we show you what's going on. So if you were worried about this, I go to the chiropractor and say, how does my spine look? What do I need to avoid arthritis? What does my spine look like? How do I reverse the changes that I've already started? What does my spine look like? You have arthritis. Okay, what can I do to prevent it from getting worse? And try to, what kind of improvements are realistic? Sometimes the only realistic improvement could be is a little bit bigger gap, a little bit less stress. So if it's already fused together, there isn't anything anyone can do for you other than surgery. That's when we refer you out. So remember, if you have a question about arthritis and how chiropractic works, only one person's qualified to answer that, and that's a chiropractor. Ask a chiropractor. If you have a question about chiropractic or chiropractic care, you want to ask me, leave a message or a comment wherever you're watching or listening to this. It's very exciting to see what chiropractors can do to help change this. And there's a lot of rumors about what chiropractors do and don't do, and rumors and myths about us. I'm going to ask you to come back next week, and I'm going to talk about the truth behind some of these chiropractic myths. I'm going to break them down, tell you where they came from, tell you why they're not true, and what the truth is, and try to answer it as scientifically and as honest as possible. Come back next week for week 11, episode 11, some of the truths about chiropractic care. Thank you.